There you go. You're all good.
I'm going to start off. I'm going to say something that in my previous occupation, I probably wouldn't be allowed to say. And if I did say it, I'd be, they'd bleep it. They'd dump it. Right now, 2 weeks into the NFL season, Cam Newton is better than Tom Brady. Yes, Cam Newton is better than Tom Brady. I'm going to take my little victory lap 2 weeks into the season because I said he would be better. Not that Brady's bad. Brady's okay. Although I just did the numbers, guys. I just did the numbers, Aiden. I just counted. Brady is 29th in QB rating after 2 weeks. And he was good yesterday. And he was okay week one. He's 29th. He's below Baker Mayfield. He's below, what's the guy's name in Denver?
Locke.
Dak Prescott.
Driscoll.
he's below all those guys.
Again,
he's okay. Yesterday he was good. He was better than week one. He got the W. You know, he got Gronk involved. He was good. Cam Newton was better. I was stunned. I got to be honest with you, stunned that this game went down to the final play. I thought this had all the makings of a rout for the home team, even though they had no fans, even though the 12 wasn't in the stadium. I thought Seattle was just going to roll over the Patriots. I mean, obviously, you get the cross-country flight, you get the time, you get the smoke, although the smoke wasn't a problem. You got, James White out because of this incredible tragedy. I just felt like they were going to get steamrolled, and they didn't. And Newton was the reason why. Newton brought them back. Newton gave them a chance. I'm not going to rip them for that final play. I know you are, Colin.
Why would you rip them for that?
I'm not going to rip them. I still think they should have run the exact same play that they scored on. But, I mean, it's in that situation, I can't blame them for that call. We can't.
It was 10 minutes before that. 10 minutes before that. And Chris Collinsworth, by the way, is he related to Jack Collinsworth, that little geeky sideline guy? We'll get to Jack Collinsworth. Talk about nepotism hire. But 10 minutes before that, Collinsworth said that play is unstoppable. He said, when you have Cam Newton running behind, tight ends, behind backs, lead blocking, you can't stop it. And I felt that way. I said, they're not going to stop it. I was shocked that not only they stopped it, they stopped him for a loss. But I have no problem with the play. You thought they should have thrown the ball?
Well, they scored on the play. Just fake the handoff, throw it. It's they were expecting him to run there. Listen, this isn't fucking sports radio. I'm not gonna analyze the play. I don't blame either way. I just think they probably would have scored if they ran the exact same play. That's
I think he said after the game that he should have bounced it outside. And if you see the replay, he could have and he should have, I suppose. But it felt like I felt going into that play that it was, like Collinsworth said, unstoppable. He was going to muscle his way to the end zone. And if he did, if he picked up the yard or two, it's, 36-35. They get the win on the road. And it's, the biggest story in the NFL today. It would be a big upset and it would be a huge boost. And by the way, did he not look comfortable with Edelman, who had a career high in yards, and N'Keal Harry and all his?
He looked great, Jerry.
He looked very comfortable.
I responded to somebody. I think it was Dundero again on Twitter. This is a quarterback that nobody wanted, and he just got Julian Edelman his most receiving yards in a game. Like it's crazy.
They got him for they're paying him what they pay the punters. They're paying him whatever it is, $1 million. And you see all these other QBs out there making $30 million. All these Matthew Staffords and these kind of guys. And Newton, man, I thought he would struggle at the beginning of the year. I thought it'd be trouble, with no preseason. He was coming in late, getting to know guys. I mean, he looked fantastic last night. He's now he's 15th in QB rating, 96.8. He had yesterday. Brady's QB rating is 79. He's got 3 picks already, including a pick 6 in week 1. And I just think Brady should be sharper at the beginning. I think he's going to struggle later in the year when he gets banged around. It looks great right now. I know we're not, we're supposed to wait and give it time and don't be too rash here. But I think it looks like a great signing right now by the Patriots, and it looks like Belichick was right again.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not like Cam Newton's like somebody you never heard of before. He did win an MVP in the not so distant past, and he's also been to a Super Bowl before. Like, do people just forget about this? Like,
no, but don't tell me you would think that Cam Newton was going to lead the Patriots to beat the Seattle Seahawks.
Why not?
in week?
What have the Seattle Seahawks done since they won a Super Bowl?
Nobody else wanted Cam Newton to begin with, let alone to think he's going to beat the best player.
And he's been hurt, and he lost. What did he lose his last? How many games in Carolina? He lost his last bunch of games.
Yep.
He was hurt. It didn't look good. They just gave up on him. They just moved on to Teddy Bridgewater, and now and Newton does appear motivated. He does appear like he's out to show the world that he's still pretty damn good. And I know everyone in New England will be talking about signing him to an extension or signing him to a long-term deal. I mean, you don't have to yet, but he looks damn good. Not as good as the other guy. Russell Wilson's the best player in the league right now. Russell Wilson, they came a yard short of beating the guy who's the MVP after 2 weeks, who's going to win an MVP one of these years, who's freaking great. Russell Wilson is great, and they almost beat him. They almost beat him on the road. It was.
Because we're not going to talk about it. But first of all, the tragic story with James White, just fucking awful to hear about that. But I'm looking at Twitter. If your producer tweeted this out, we're going to talk. Plus, we'll talk about Sweet Feet and his family with Ian O'Connor at 11:30 a.m. What would your thought process be that you're teasing? You're going to talk about the death of somebody's father on your radio show? Like, what are you doing?
It's a scumbag.
And by the way, that's not a producer. That's Dale Arnold who tweeted that.
Can I just say my heart goes out to James White. It just sounds awful, brutal. His father sounded like a great guy. I know Ian O'Connor did a story on him one time. His old man was a cop. And we can all agree Blue Lives Matter. I know they're probably happy about this. Antifa's happy about this because only good cop's a dead cop. But this is just an awful tragedy, and I was happy to see him not in the lineup. Weren't you just going to cringe if they said his father died, his mother's in critical, but he's going to play and go home afterwards?
You just kind of made the situation better. So Ian O'Connor wrote a profile on his dad before, so that makes sense.
On the family, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. At one point, so they're going to talk. But you're right. It sounds like a pretty cringeworthy topic.
Well, I also had a problem with I hear that on the television, and then all of a sudden I go to Twitter and I see Tom Brady put a 2-tweet thing about it, and I'm like, can't you just text them? Do we have to publicize like everything in life on Twitter?
What is your problem, dude?
That was a nice text by Brady. I have a problem with another nice tweet.
It was a tweet. He's showing everybody.
Okay, it was a nice tweet by Brady. I have a problem with another tweet from Brady over the weekend, which we will get to.
You have a problem with RIP tweets? How twisted are you?
Yeah, I have a problem with him. Well, not a major problem, but I have a problem with somebody saying, "Hey, everybody, look at me. I'm going to wish my condolences publicly," even though he likely probably, just knowing the guy, he clearly probably texted James White. But I just mean, it just came off bad. I don't know.
It didn't come off bad. What are you?
Hey, everybody, look at me. Look at how great of a guy I am. Here's 500 words of how great of a guy I am that I'm showing my condolences publicly as opposed to
honoring him. He's using his platform to honor his old teammate.
I understand Cullen's point. This isn't a good example. Brady is close to him. They're close friends, and it was a nice tweet, 2-part tweet, I believe. But I get you when people die, and it's like a race to Twitter to see who can offer their condolences.
Correct.
More, or who can offer their condolences quicker. We used to joke about that on the radio and say, when some actor or somebody dies, and we'd joke about who's going to be the first to offer their, rest in peace tweet. Just to show how much they care.
Well, my favorite part when people die. No, this is good to tell. My favorite part when like a famous person dies, like a former president, is like, who's going to be the first crazy liberal professor to celebrate this? That's the only art. Those are my favorite tweets when people die.
And we saw the difference over the weekend in liberals and conservatives. We talk about this all the time, but when Antonin Scalia died, there were millions of liberals celebrating. We're still looking for the first conservative that's celebrating the death. Not like you see when a conservative dies. Not like you'll see when
Doug Collins. You see Doug Collins' tweet?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty close.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's pro life. What can you say?
Wasn't exactly. Yeah, but maybe just not say that out loud. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah. Oh, so we're going to get lessons in
I don't care.
being subtle from Turtleboy. We get lessons in being.
Yeah, I mean, if Turtleboy is the one telling you maybe not is the time, then you might have gone a little bit overboard. Just a thought. Just a thought.
You know what? Watching back to Cam Newton, I want to get to the weekend. Obviously, we're going to get to RBG, notorious RBG, who is the only person to blame for the current quandary that the Democrats find themselves in. But we'll get to that. Did you know Cam Newton had such good touch on the ball? I mean, he looks like he was almost going toe-to-toe with Russell Wilson, who has great touch, obviously great touch on the deep ball. But Newton just looks so comfortable in the pocket, and he looks so confident. And maybe it's Josh McDaniel. Maybe it's just he's motivated, but he looks so good right now. And they're hosting Las Vegas Raiders next week, which in their, I don't know what they are, like 6.5-point favorites. They'll probably go to 2-1. And it's a two-team race in the AFC East. It's, Bills and Patriots, and it's as always, the Patriots are fascinating.
All four teams. We have to play the NFC West this year. All four of those teams, Jerry, those might be like four of the top 6 teams in the NFC. They all might make the playoffs this year. All four of those teams.
Yeah, and as we saw yesterday, guys will get hurt. Quarterbacks will get hurt. It just sucks watching these guys go down. Watching Nick Bosa and Saquon Barkley tear the ACLs. They're gone for the year. Maybe, be lucky to be back at the start of next year. It's just it was a brutal day.
A running back, 2nd overall. You deserve that every single time I see that happen. I'm like, what?
And every time I watch Christian McCaffrey, I say he's going to get hurt. He gets hit.
He's going to.
He's fearless. He got hurt yesterday and he limped off. And I said, uh-oh, and it's an ankle. It's not a knee. It's a high ankle sprain for Jimmy Garoppolo, which could be weeks, if not months, before he's back ready to, in good shape. But the NFL's awesome. The NFL's just awesome. I mean, it was another riveting day. That Cowboys comeback was incredible. The Atlanta Falcons are the dumbest team in the NFL. The Atlanta Falcons scored 39 points, did not turn the ball over, and lost because they didn't know the rule on an onside kick. An NFL team, if that's a friggin' Pop Warner team, you yell and jump on the damn ball. In fact, they would have jumped on the ball.
Can we talk about that? That was, I mean, you think the Super Bowl was bad. That comeback yesterday. I mean, with the why didn't they? I don't understand. Why didn't they try to jump on the ball?
Watch it again, and watch the guys wait for it to go 10. Like they're the offense, they're waiting for it to go 10 yards, which you don't have to do. Which everybody knows you don't have to do. High school kids know you don't have to do. The Falcons stay away from the ball until it gets 10 yards, and the Cowboys jump on it. It's just uncomfortable.
If you get out coached by Mike McCarthy, you should be it up.
And they had the game won. And I don't know. I like Matt Ryan. I feel bad for him. You look at his face, and he's just staring out there going, God, we are stupid.
I agree with my man Mute, who said Dan Quinn he shouldn't even gotten on the plane. They should absolutely fire him. It's not even a question about it.
It is. I mean, but they're good enough to get up, to score 39 and not turn the ball over and be in a position to win on the road in front of a hostile crowd. And they actually had people in the stands in Dallas, which you know what that means. You know what that means? Everybody's going to die in Dallas within weeks. They're all going to die because it was an experiment in human sacrifice yesterday in Dallas. They had fans. How does that work? Do you guys know how that works? Like, why does some teams get fans and others don't? Is that up to the governor?
The governors of these states. It's all up to the governors. Like, or the mayors, maybe like the mayor of Nashville, that tyrant who hid all that information. He just coincidentally decided to let fans into the Titans game yesterday, just randomly, not politically pressured or anything.
He also upped the limit in bars. Once they caught him covering up his crimes, he immediately said, "Oh, you can have 50% capacity now in bars, and you can have people at the Titans games, and you can have picnics and barbecues." He changed the rules just to get the heat off his lying ass. We can get to that guy, that Nashville mayor, who's by the way, he's just the guy who got caught. You have any doubt that they're doing the same thing all around the country, including
100%?
He's just the one who got caught lying about the. If you missed it, he lied about the number of people who were infected at bars and restaurants because he wanted to crack down on the bars and restaurants, and he wanted to raise taxes. So he lied. They had they contact traced 20,000 people and 10,000, I believe, and 20 were infected at restaurants. So he lied, and they found the emails, and they caught him. And his reaction was, you know what? You guys can go to the Titans game now. You guys can go to Kid Rock's bar.
See, I'm good again. I'm nice again. You guys should like me now.
Have fun. Leave me alone. All right. I had a blast watching the NFL and the U.S. Open, which Aiden doesn't care about, and I feel bad for you. I say this all the time. If you people who don't like golf don't watch majors, you are missing great entertainment, just great clutch performances. And yesterday, Bryson DeChambeau, the weirdo who was just dominant, just ran away with it. You had two weirdos in the final group, Matthew Wolff and Bryson DeChambeau. But I'll tell you what you missed. You missed this weirdo who gained 30 pounds of muscle over the last offseason, who's 6'1", 235 pounds, jacked, and probably on something. And he's, they call him, I don't know, the physicist or the scientist, because he's all wonky, and his clubs are all the same length. He has different form than anybody who's ever played, and he's got it all. It's all science. He says, well, just leave it up to the science.
If you watch the way he swings, like if you play golf in your real life, he's the guy you play with that you're like borderline fucking embarrassed to be playing with, to be honest. His swing.
You know what's happening today? People are going to Golf Galaxy or going to golf, and they're saying, I want those clubs that he uses. I want that putter. I want to do what he does. They get their arms all straight out. And he used to bring a slide rule on the golf course to try to figure out angles of, chips and putts. I think they told him you can't do that anymore, but I don't root for him because he's so slow and so methodical, and I hate these slow players. So I was not rooting for him, but he just dominated, and he hits it like 360 yards, and he's not happy. He says he wants to hit it. He's going to get a longer driver. He wants to gain 10 more pounds of muscle, and he wants to hit it 400 yards and just ruin golf courses.
Can I give a tip to our television audience out there? It is a Monday, so we will be on television today. If you play the game of golf, you have one thing that you need to do. Hit the long ball. That is how you play golf. That is the future of golf. Nothing else matters. Just work on the driver. It's all a joke after that.
It's sick. I mean, they have like 600-yard par fives, and he was going driver pitching wedge. I mean, he just hits it 400 yards, then it hit a pitching wedge 200 yards. He's ruining golf courses. These great traditional tracks have to figure out a way to make it more challenging. He wasn't supposed to be whatever he was, 6 under. It was supposed to be like no one was supposed to be under par, but he was just
that was the only aspect that sucked, is he put it away so early. And
that Matthew Wolff just gagged at the beginning and kind of made it not very suspenseful. But it was still fun to watch, and they could use some fans too. When he sinks the putt to win it, and he raises it up, and you go, "What the hell? What's missing?" There's no noise.
By the way, why did he putt first there? Is that
he shouldn't have, because he's a weirdo. That's why he doesn't.
I didn't see anybody chirp about that on Twitter. That was disrespectful. That guy should have putted out, and he should have had that moment. It's just ridiculous.
I do not disagree. I'm like, what are you doing? You're supposed to let the other guy go, but he's strange. He doesn't want to. He's like pacing off, like he'd be like 60 yards from the green. He'd pace it off and hold up everybody. But anyway.
The NFL, Jerry, is going to save us from coronavirus. You heard it here first. Like you pointed out, you asked a good question. Why are they letting some fans in? And so a lot of people are going to start asking that question, and they're going to start letting people in the stadiums. Right now it's 20%. A couple weeks from now it'll be 40%.
Right. I
guarantee you by the Super Bowl there will be a sold out Super Bowl. Do you disagree?
I do not disagree, and we're going to we know on November 3rd everything changes. The virus is not as deadly. It's not as a big a problem on November 3rd, November 4th, no matter whoever wins, it's not a big deal. We know it's all political, but I watch these empty stadiums like in Seattle. I say, why can't they just let family and friends in? Why can't you have 2,000 or 4,000 and say
they have that wacky woman running the city that lets Chaz happen. She lets Chaz happen, but she won't let people. Maybe Chaz should just occupy the Seattle stadium.
Well, they have signs in the stadium to say Black Lives Matter, so they could just say it's a protest, right? And
yeah, I mean, Chaz, you can pick any plot of land in Seattle and declare that it's yours. That's just the rules. How it works.
Wouldn't it be really easy to socially distance if you let, 5,000 people into a 70,000 seat stadium? Just don't sit near each other. Is it that difficult? Why does it have to be empty?
No,
that was like the first. That was the first question on the pregame show last night. It was like, Dallas let in 20,000 fans. Do you think this had an impact on the outcome? It's like, I can't imagine that. How many seats does that stadium hold? Like 100,000.
It's a lot. It's like 90 something.
It's insane.
I don't think it has an impact, but Aiden's right. You were saying it last week, and Brady's in New Orleans for opening weekend, and there's no noise. And then the Patriots are in Seattle on a Sunday night, and there's no noise. It's a factor. You lose the home field advantage to some extent with no. And I don't know if you get it back with 10,000 or even 15 or 20. Don't you have to have the place banged out to have a real impact on the game? At the goal line like last night.
Yeah, I mean, it would not make that much of an impact if there's 20% in there, no doubt about it. But my point here is that they're not going to go back once they start adding people. They're not going back. The NFL is the ultimate capitalist. They're the only ones out that all they really care about is money. They did the Black Lives Matter thing, but they were really just throwing them a bone. If they actually felt like if Roger Goodell meant any of that bullshit that he said back, 2 months ago, he would have Colin Kaepernick in the league right now. But he doesn't, because he doesn't actually believe any of that bullshit.
Well, I think he would love someone to sign Kaepernick. I mean, he would just take the heat off to an extent, but
he could make it happen if he wanted.
I don't know. I think he's probably tried. That's my guess. But I think you're right. They'll gradually start filling up stadiums, and the Super Bowl, I don't know if it'll be 100% full, but they tested. I look forward to this tweet this news from Schefter or Rappaport. I think Rappaport was the one that reported first on Friday or Saturday that they tested whatever it was, 10,000 people, all the players, coaches, personnel, and 0 positive tests again. And the numbers have been great. Obviously.
How is it possible with 0 positive tests? Like, positive tests seem to happen all the time.
Yeah, well, it's bad news, as we've said before. Bad news for the Corona Bros, as Clay Travis calls them. Bad news for the people. And I don't know. Have you seen the montage of all the people who said there will be no football this year? They can't play. They won't play. Oh, yeah. And all ESPN, everyone on ESPN was rooting for the virus. All the Darren Rovels are rooting for the virus, and the virus is not a factor right now in the NFL. In the NBA, I don't think Major League Baseball, although I haven't really paid attention, but in college football, it's not a factor. I know, again, Christine Brennan and all the woke mob in the media are rooting for a outbreak, a spike, but so far there's not even a hint of it. Not even like one player, one notable player has tested positive. There will be one probably, but it's no reason not to play. They've played 2 weeks, been very entertaining. The NFL's made a lot of money. The networks have had great ratings, or not great ratings, decent ratings, and it's not an issue. And that's so disappointing to the media, to all the talking heads on ESPN. They're bummed. They want the virus. What would they
talk about? Like, why are they bummed? I don't get that. Wouldn't you want? Like, you do sports.
Of course, you get that. You get it better than anyone. Of course, they want. I don't know if you're aware of
because it's all about Trump.
It's all about Trump. It's all about November 4th. Yes.
Nobody that cares about sports. There's none of these people actually care about sports working at ESPN.
Of course they care about sports, but there's nothing, people.
So their dedication to hating Trump is more important than their dedication to sports.
Yes, more important. Okay. And a lot of them are just sheep. They just follow along. They don't want to appear callous or not uncaring by saying that the virus isn't a problem. They don't want to be like you.
Yeah.
Say they hope they get it so they can get it over with.
Yeah, just give it to me. Who cares? I'll take it multiple times.
But the only thing they have to worry about are coaches. When you look at Andy Reid or you look at Belichick, these guys are older. They're not in the best shape. You have to worry about coaches. You certainly don't have to worry about players. Speaking of players, we're going to get to RBG, but I have to salute, because we've talked about this a lot, all the wokeness in the NFL. They hate in the end zone. It says end racism. In the back of the helmets, it says Black Lives Matter or Breonna Taylor. Marcus Pouncey is my new favorite NFL player, at least this week. It was Tyler Eifert last week, but Marcus Pouncey and a couple of Marquise. Marquise. I don't know which is.
He's Hernandez's boy. He's the guy that was.
I know, but he's redeemed himself in my eyes.
Yes, he has.
He said, the Steelers wanted. They said the whole team was going to honor this one guy who was shot. Antoine Rose Jr.
Nice
was
guy.
Shot by police. So the whole team decided they're going to honor him. Obviously, Villanueva, the veteran, the left tackle, who was an Army Ranger, he didn't like that idea. He wrote David Dorn's.
One of his buddies.
Not David Dorn. One of his friends who died in combat, a black soldier who gave his life, a hero. He literally wrote the name with his magic marker on the back of his helmet. And it created a little stir in Pittsburgh. But I thought we were Antoine Rose's mother was not happy with that.
Yeah, but did you see when they asked Minkah Fitzpatrick about it too? They said, what's up with that? And he goes, they asked him who decided to put this guy, because it was they didn't Googled him at all, even though they all live in Pittsburgh. And it was a really big story in Pittsburgh. I have family lived out there. Everybody's talking about this story, and he was acquitted, obviously. And it was they didn't ask any questions. We are literally honoring a guy who died during the aftermath of a drive-by shooting that he was involved in. He had a freaking gun on him.
He was, we believe, the shooter.
No, he was in the front seat.
I thought.
Jerry, haven't you seen any gangster movies? The shooter sits in the back seat. Come on.
Right.
He was shotgun. No pun intended.
Yes, and. He was shot and killed by Pittsburgh police in 2018. Police officers stopped his car he was riding in because it matched one that described to have been in a drive-by shooting. Officer Michael Rosefeld opened fire on Rose when he and another person ran from the police. Rose was shot 3 times. The investigation linked the vehicle to the shooting, with the passenger in the incident pleading guilty to opening fire during the drive-by. You're right. The officer was acquitted went to trial and was acquitted. Now, nobody was even, Alejandro Villanueva, the tackle who honored the veteran, didn't say anything about, I don't think, about Antoine Rose. He just wanted to honor a veteran. He chose to honor somebody. He did it himself. And, it pissed some people off. Well, Marcus Pouncey came out and said, I didn't know all the circumstances to this shooting, the Antoine Rose shooting. Did his research and said, I got a better idea. I'm going to honor a police officer because he has a good relationship with the cops. He's done some
I was going to say, you know what that means? He has a cop that lives in his neighborhood, Jerry. He has friends that are cops. That's what that means.
He changed. He wrote the name Eric Kelly on his helmet. He was one of 3 police officers killed in 2009 in the Pittsburgh area. So he changed the name and honored this cop, which upset some people. But
it didn't, though. That's the thing about it, is the Steelers, they asked, Minkah Fitzpatrick's probably the most famous player on that team. He's the star of the defense. And they asked him, whose idea was this to put a drive-by shooting victim on the back of your helmet? Who came up with that? And he threw management under the bus. He's ask him upstairs. So they went and asked the Rooneys, and the Rooneys are I don't know. It was nobody wants to admit. They're so ashamed of this. All of them collectively.
The Rooneys are so, they're such pandering peaks.
But the Steelers, I hate the Steelers, but they're becoming a very likable team, Jerry.
Yes.
This is also the same team with Stephen Tuitt, one of the first guys who came out and said, I'm not kneeling. So I don't know. Besides the raping quarterback, it's somewhat of a likable team.
Yeah, and I would say the raping quarterback's a little more famous than Minkah Fitzpatrick, but I hear your point. I thought Pouncey was kind of a questionable guy because of the Hernandez connection, but he's redeemed himself.
I think this compliment makes up for you killing his best friend. I think he's going to be happy with that.
Yes,
that's right. Let's not forget that connection, Jerry.
Yeah, we're going to let bygones be bygones. I killed him. He was friends with him. That's old news. I like what Pouncey's doing.
Old news. He quote, "Today is a tough day. The world may think whatever, but to my brother, I love you. God strengthen us all." That's
oh God. Well, but you know what? I tweeted this, I always do this, and it said that the definition of courage in 2020 is what Pouncey did and what Villanueva did. That takes guts to do it in this day and age, because it upsets a lot of the right people. All the media is not going to like that.
I disagree, though. It's like, I think what they proved is that is a more popular thing to do, because he hasn't gotten any real blowback for it. And, it definitely helps that he's black, right? If a white player had done this, it would be definitely differently. So it helped that a black player did this. So I think the reaction the fact that nobody wants to associate with this guy anymore shows you that, like, all it takes is one brave voice to stand up. People will have your back. There's a reason that Tucker Carlson is the highest rated show in America. It's because most people agree with the things that he's saying.
It's a good point. I'm curious to see what they'll do going forward. I mean, is he going to honor a different cop every week or a different soldier in the case of
Villanueva? You just play football. Why do you have to honor people with your helmet?
Because the alternative seems to be, you put the name of a violent Marxist political organization on the back of your helmet. That's what
you could do, like what LeBron does, and do nothing because you didn't get to make the rules. But
that's true. Is he still doing nothing? I haven't noticed.
Still doing nothing.
Really? Is he still? Are they still in the playoffs? The Lakers?
Yeah, they're up to not. They won a buzzer beater last night. Anthony Davis hit a 3-pointer at the buzzer.
Wow, that's exciting.
And nobody saw it. But.
No, yeah, everyone in China is very happy. They're all rooting for LeBron.
Yes.
He's lost a lot of fans in America, but the Chinese love him.
Chairman.
Anyway, let's get to the big news of the weekend. And I was shocked. Who saw this coming? Who thought, an 87-year-old woman with pancreatic cancer was going to depart us before the election? Just shocking.
Someone who's been dead more times than Kim Jong-un. Like, let's be honest. How many times have you heard
Franco? Here's what I did over the weekend. You were tweeting about it. I was tweeting about it. It is really, in my opinion, cut and dry. There's no real debate here. There was never any debate. Republicans, Mitch McConnell and the Republicans have no choice. They have to do their job. Trump's going to send him a nominee, and they're going to advise and consent, and hopefully 50 Republicans vote to confirm before the election, although I don't care if it's after the election. But tell me exactly what the alternative is. I know, I know Murkowski and Collins are these two squishes who are already said.
Collins, I can understand, because Collins is in election.
I can't, and I'll tell you why. Do you think anybody, any moderate, any middle of the road person respects you for being that kind of invertebrate, that kind of coward that you say, I'm not going to vote. So tell me what's happened. Help answer this for me, Aiden. And I asked this over the weekend on Twitter, and I got lots of blowback. What happens when they put it up for a vote? So say it's Amy Coney Barrett, who I'm rooting for because she's a devout Catholic, and they're going to attack her for being Catholic, which will be interesting dynamic. But
make it so much easier. She's a woman.
So, but he's already said it's going to be a woman. I seem to think it's down to two women, and the other one was on the
Epstein. She's related to Epstein.
Yeah, she's the one that she signed off on a lenient sentence for Jeffrey Epstein down in South Florida.
You don't need that.
I don't want to hear that. I don't want that to be part of the hearings. But tell me this. Mitch McConnell puts it up for a vote. What is Collins going to do? Just abstain? Is she going to vote no, yes, present? Is she going to be like Barack Obama and vote present?
Yeah, it doesn't matter because they'll have 50 without her. People are all worried about the only two you're going to lose are Murkowski and Collins. You're going to get people are worried about Mitt.
I'm worried about Mitt.
I'm not worried about Mitt at all. And here's why: because Mitt Romney, his whole thing is just he hates Donald Trump, right? He wants to spite Donald Trump. He'll vote for impeachment. He'll do that. But at the end of the day, he represents one of the reddest states in the country on the social issues in particular. They're very religious. I don't know if you know that in Utah.
I've heard.
He cannot afford to just not confirm.
Why not? He voted to impeach, knowing
it's different. Voting. Trump
consider this about Mitt Romney, and one of my great regrets in life.
Killing me, Jerry. Killing me. You're missing the point.
One of my great regrets in life. But think of this: he voted to impeach, knowing it was all a complete fabrication. There was no impeachable grounds. He voted to remove the president from office for nothing.
Missing the point here, Jerry. So he did that to spite Donald Trump. You can't spite Amy Coney Barrett and be because people, I don't know if you know this, people in Utah don't really like Donald Trump that much. He wasn't a very popular candidate, right? Mitt Romney got 20% more than he did, right? So you can spite Donald Trump. You cannot spite a conservative Supreme Court justice, especially one who is obviously going to be against Roe versus Wade in Utah and remain popular. You can't. Susan Collins is pro-choice. She wears it on her sleeve, so she can afford to vote no on this, right?
Well, she's on the road. She's going to lose, but it looks weak. And I think, I don't care if, there's people, middle of the road, moderates, who are independents who don't want weakness. They don't like weakness. Susan Collins looks weak. And if they put it up to a vote, again, are you telling me she votes no, or does she abstain, or does she take the day off? What does she do?
I don't know, but are we all forgetting about her awesome speech with Kavanaugh? Like how?
No, it was great. She saved Kavanaugh. Yeah. It was that took courage. Talk
about courage. That was courage. Yeah.
This doesn't. This is not courage. You know what take courage? To stand up and say, I'm going to follow the law. The law is you put this person up for a vote. And if and by the way, it used to be everybody voted yes, unless the person was a friggin' criminal. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, it was like 96-3.
Yeah.
90. She's a complete left-wing lunatic. It was 96-3. That's how it used to work. You had the right to send up a nominee, and if they weren't corrupt, you got yes. Like Lindsey Graham pointed out, he voted yes for Sotomayor, Kagan. These two radical lefties, and he voted yes because that's the right of the president to nominate someone that they agree with.
Kagan had never been like a high-ranking judge or anything like that before. There was reason to vote against her, but you do it because tradition. And Republicans lose because they play nice. They don't play by the same rules. They're not willing to do anything it takes to win, and that Trump has changed that. Trump is willing to do anything that it takes to win, as long as it's legal and we follow the rules. And after the Kavanaugh hearings, after what they did to that man,
everything changed. Exactly.
A creepy porn lawyer legitimized him and accused this honorable man of being involved in gang rape parties.
It was the lowest point of for me in my lifetime watching politics, observing politics. I've never seen anything like it. By the way, keep in mind that right now, if the polls are right, the next president was leading the charge. Kamala Harris was leading the slander. She knew Kavanaugh was innocent. She knew that stuff was all made up, and she ran with it. In front of his wife, in front of his parents, she called him a gang rapist. She knew it was a lie, and she did it anyway. She's despicable. They all are. All the people that led the charge at Sheldon Whitehouse, that scummy.
Never even heard of him before that. I hate him so much.
Talking about, farts, yearbook, taking the yearbook. It's going to be fascinating watch them go after, and I hope Amy Coney Barrett is ready for this because it's going to get dirty. They're going to accuse her.
She doesn't have to be ready because guess what, Jerry? There's no reason to have hearings. Why are they going to have hearings?
Right. They already vetted her 2 years ago for the lower court.
There's nothing in the Constitution that says that Supreme Court justices have to have confirmation hearings with the Senate. You can just push it for a vote.
You know why it's so ridiculous that Democrats are, and they're going to take to the streets. They were outside Lindsey Graham's house last night, banging drums and screaming and trying to wake him up. And they were at McConnell's house over the weekend. They're going to go nuts. But here's all you need to say to your liberal friends when they say this isn't fair, this is hypocrisy. What do you think the Democrats would do if the shoe were on the other foot? Do you really think, Chuck Schumer or, say it was in the House, say it was Nancy Pelosi, do you really think, Liz Warren would say, I don't think that would be fair. We'll wait till after the election. Of course they wouldn't. You're right. They play dirty. They play for keeps. They would ram this through in a week if they could. It's their own fault. By the way, this icon, this hero, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the reason, and I want you to say this to your liberal friends too, the reason you're in this no-win situation, if you're a Democrat, is she wouldn't retire. She could have retired 4 years ago. She would have been 83 with lots of health problems, and Obama could have named any crazy liberal. He could have had, Cornel West on the court, or Lawrence Tribe. He could have named anybody if she weren't so self-centered.
She rolled the dice. She rolled the dice. She thought Hillary would win. Everybody did. So she did it. She's like, this isn't going to happen. I don't have to worry about that. And then Trump got elected. It's like, oh shit, I might die.
I got to hang on. But she could think of that though. Normal people retire, 65, 70. She was 83. She had this huge pension. She's an icon, a hero, a heroine to the left. Could have walked away with dignity at 83. Obama could have filled the seat and she would have been a bigger hero to the left. Instead, she hung on, and now they're going to blame who? They're going to blame Mitch McConnell for this current situation.
Using the power that the voters gave him. I mean, what do you mean? Like,
what choice does he have? And there's no, I mean, obviously you can compare it to the Merrick Garland situation, but I got another question. You're a pretty close observer of this, and I am too, but I'm still confused about a couple things. If they put Merrick Garland up for a vote, couldn't they just vote it down?
They would have voted it down.
Right. That's the way. That's the rules that the Democrats made.
Yeah.
When they borked Robert Bork or when they slandered Clarence Thomas. I mean, it's a blood fight, right?
Well, that should not be we should not overlook that. Harry Reid in 2013, he specifically got rid of the filibuster for SCOTUS appointments. So essentially, all you need is 40 Democrats to stop any nomination. That's all it takes. And Harry Reid said, no. I want to get rid of that because the Republicans at the time were the minority. He's like, we don't need them stopping us from putting all these justices in. And then Mitch McConnell said, this is going to come back to bite you, my friend. And it did. And it has twice. We're going to get 2 justices in now. Because of Harry Reid.
You can thank Harry Reid. You can thank Ruth Bader Ginsburg, RBG. Yeah. I mean, this is not Mitch McConnell's fault. You can hate him or Lindsey Graham's fault. You made the rules. This is a different situation. The president is the same party as the Senate. If the president was in the same party as the Senate, Merrick Garland would have been on the court. By the way, it wouldn't have been Merrick Garland. They only named the moderate because they knew he wasn't going to pass. If Obama was really picking someone that he believed in, it would have been a crazy, radical, liberal. It would have been, someone like, with Black Lives Matter or Antifa. It would have been some nutty lefty. But
it would have been Talcum X. Talcum X would be on the Supreme Court.
Talcum X, Sean King. He knew that it wasn't going to pass, so he named this alleged moderate. And everybody knew that he was never going to be on the court. It was just for show. But I'm not sure what all the crazy radicals who were screaming and rioting or making noise and banging drums outside, what do they want? What do they expect Trump to do? Say, we're good. We'll wait till after the election. Sure.
You guys, we'll disregard it. We won't use our power because you guys seem so nice.
Right.
It's like you spent last year impeaching me and, stop threatening boys in MAGA hats and holding hearings about literally everything. Yeah. You know what?
Yeah,
you guys, in the spirit of bipartisan.
You made up the Russian hoax. Dragged him through the mud for 3 years. You made up the Ukraine thing. You made up the mailboxes in the post office. You just made up these things.
The Kurds. Don't forget the Kurds. Iran. Everything. It's like, you want us to play nice? This is a war.
This is why Trump was elected, by the way. I wouldn't be surprised if President Mitt Romney or President John McCain would play nice. They
would not nominate. Jeff Bush would not nominate someone now.
We'll just sit this one out because I'm really hoping Chuck Todd says something nice about me, which is, by the way, which is what Mitt Romney's hoping for now. He's got his finger to the wind. He's like, gee, will they still like me? I marched with Black Lives Matter. Wasn't that enough? He is such a fraud.
Who's the
I want Mitt to vote no. I want to be 50-50, and I want Mike Pence to stand up loud and proud and say, confirmed.
Because people like McSally's running. She's got a re-election. She's already come out, and I'm voting yes. I don't care who it is. I'm voting yes.
Who's the dude for the Red Sox that would throw all the parties? Right, Charles Steinberg. Right. Who's gonna be planning the services who's the Charles Steinberg of politics? Because if you thought her last dying wish quote over the weekend was dirty, the services are going to just be a build up more of that shit and just try to get the general public on their side.
It is the silliest thing. And I was tweeting about it. I know you were too, Aiden, but the actual grown-ups like in the media and in politics, AOC, I realize, she's not very bright, but actually acting as if this dying wish matters. There's the Constitution on one side, and then there's the last dying wish of an 87-year-old woman. Gee, what do you think matters more, the Constitution or Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who, by the way, again, could have retired with dignity, chose to saying she doesn't want the seat to be filled? How in the world would that ever matter to Donald Trump or any president?
As if it's her seat. It was never. First of all, let's be honest. They made that up. She never said that. Obviously, for Yamichi first reported it.
Right.
That tells you everything you need to know right there.
Yes.
She made it up. She never said that. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I didn't like her politics, but she was a woman of dignity. She actually called out I respected her because she called out Colin Kaepernick.
Yes, she did.
And she said nice things about Justice Kavanaugh. She seemed like a nice lady. I highly doubt she said something so ridiculous on her deathbed.
And okay, play along with me. You're probably right. She probably made it up. So what if she did say that? What if she said, I really want, my I really want Joy Behar to be on the court in my place. They're supposed to say, oh, you do? Okay, we'll name Joy Behar. That's not her job, first of all. And secondly, the president's of a different political party. You're not going to get a judge that agrees with you. You're just not. Those are the rules. The dying wish is just the silliest thing that people were repeating over and over and over like it mattered.
Another dying wish is to give Turtleboy $1,000 gift card to the Boom Boom Room once it opens up.
Yeah, everyone was going with the dying wish. What's your dying wish? I was getting a little annoyed at all the people who were speaking of doing it for show, doing the tweets about how wonderful Ruth Bader Ginsburg was. And you're right. She seemed like a nice lady. She was a good friend of Antonin Scalia. Scalia's son came out and said they had a great relationship. They hung out together and went to dinner with the wives and all that. Seemed like a nice lady. She was a radical left-winger. She was a reliable left-wing vote. She didn't really matter. She was on one side of the court, and Clarence Thomas is on the other. There was nothing. She didn't do anything courageous. She didn't ever buck her party or her.
There hasn't been a single Supreme Court decision in which you're like, oh man, RBG voted that way. That's
right.
crazy. It's happened with Kagan. It's happened with Gorsuch. It's happened with some of them, but she's not one. Like Clarence Thomas is another guy.
Right.
Like
Clarence Thomas
voting every time.
Yeah, and Clarence Thomas on one side, she's on the other. You would never hear the kind of outright hero worship of Clarence Thomas that you hear about Ruth Bader Ginsburg and all her principles. Oh, no. And she kept this country's ideals, held up the idea. And I'm saying, and I've been researching it. I've been reading, saying, what was so bold about what she did or said or wrote? There's nothing. I mean, she just was a reliable, rock solid left-wing vote. God bless her. That's the system, the Democrats have their guys and Republicans have their guys, and she's one of their guys. And everybody was tweeting. I mean, I was writing down some of it. Tim McGraw, Tom Brady tweeting about what a wonderful, life she led and all that. And I threw the question out there, just could you name one thing she did?
You got ratioed, Jerry. You got ratioed.
I got ratioed. Just name one thing she said, did, or wrote that you could point to that makes her such a courageous, such a hero, such an icon. What's one thing? And not only did Brady not respond, he was busy, playing an NFL game.
He didn't get back to you?
No, not yet. But I'm serious when I say I didn't have one liberal. I mean, lots of them reached out to me and said, you suck and all that as usual, but they don't come out and say, was that decision in 1998 where she did this and said this and wrote that.
To the gay rights thing, gay marriage. There's been a lot of socially progressive things that she's voted yes on. No,
sure, but do you think that's why Tom Brady and Tim McGraw thought she lived?
No, Tom Brady's doing it because it's trendy,
right?
Tom Brady will do whatever everyone else is doing. He's not.
But you could. I'm telling you, throw that question. I mean, if you get some, get in an argument with some liberals, say. Just give me an example of one thing.
This is why you got to be on TikTok, Jerry. TikTok, they have the answer.
Holy fucking shit, you guys! I'm driving your car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died! Fuck! Could this year get any fucking worse?
There you go.
That's so great. I love those. I love those videos. I love those screaming liberals. I love watching them outside Lindsey Graham's house last night. I mean, this is just the worst. I said this all summer, and we've talked about it. There's more coming. We got 43 days to the election. There's just more coming. Like, for instance, a vaccine. How about that? On the same day that Amy Coney Barrett gets confirmed by the Senate, a vaccine comes out? Would that not send these kind of liberals over the edge?
MAGA, if that happens. Imagine that. Imagine that.
Just, it's like October 28th.
She can announce it at the ceremony. She brings the vaccine with her. Donald Trump, I have a surprise for America. As my first act, I would like to introduce the vaccine. And then Twitter would censor her.
The reason this woman's going crazy, and you've seen a few others like her, is that they're not going to be able to Kavanaugh Barrett and the other woman, even though she was involved in the Epstein sentencing. Just say it's Barrett. She's a devout Catholic. They're going to go after her for that.
Yes. You act like that's not an American tradition, Jerry.
Good luck.
Going after Catholics is a very popular American tradition. How many Catholic presidents have there been, Jerry?
There's been one.
The same amount as black presidents. Okay, so that basically tells you.
And I don't count JFK. He wasn't real Catholic.
Yeah, this country is filled with anti-Catholic bigotry. I'm kind of one of them. I wrote a post over the weekend shitting on the Catholic Church. They've done some horrible things, right? So it's quite easy to dislike the Catholic Church, and they're going to go after her faith and some things she said. And it's going to get ugly.
I believe 5 or 6 of the judges are Catholic on the court, or raised Catholic. I mean, obviously, they're not devout. Obviously, the ones the left, the Sotomayors and Kagans who vote for abortion in the 4th trimester. They're not practicing Catholics. Kavanaugh is a Catholic, yes. Yeah.
They found other things to go after him for, though. So
right. They made it up, which is why it's going to be difficult.
It will.
They will make stuff up, but I mean, at some point, even the most gullible, the most naive out there are going to say, "Okay, you're getting silly now." It reached that point when they marched out Julie Swetnick and Michael Avenatti and said they were having gang rapes, or they were raping a girl on a boat, off Rhode Island. I mean, they were just making stuff up. And at this point, when they come out and say Amy Coney Barrett is a devil worshiper who has, she killed a hitchhiker one night back in her college days, or she's on crystal meth right now. I mean, they're going to just make stuff up, but who's going to believe them?
Their base will, obviously.
Yamiche will.
Yamiche will definitely believe. Yamiche is ready to believe whatever it is you tell her, and whatever she infers from that as well.
Right. It's going to be fascinating. I'm telling you, I love this theater. I love the NFL. I had a great time watching the NFL yesterday, the U.S. Open. But I'm telling you, this hearing for her or whoever the nominee is just going to be wild. It's going to be it feels like a sport. I feel again like I'm watching, Trump versus the world, and it's the best sport we got going for us right now. And it's going to have to be fast tracked. Obviously 43 days. He's got to name it. They got to have hearings, however brief, and they're going to have a vote before the election. And you know what? You know what else is going to happen? More rioting, more looting.
Can't wait. That's great for us. That's great, though. I love how they've been throwing it. If we don't get what we want, we're going to riot. Oh, no. Don't burn another one of your cities down. That would be a shame. It polls so well.
I was thinking this over the weekend. You're gonna something different? You're gonna get upset and you're gonna break windows and set fires? Aren't you already doing that?
Yeah, I mean, can you mix it up a little bit this time? Can you make it seasonal? Can you throw some pumpkin spice on there? I don't know.
They're going to people's houses now. That's the thing. Going to, like I said, Mitch McConnell's and Lindsey Graham's houses, and they're going to attack them personally. They'll personally go after Mitt, as you know. I mean, obviously, Susan Collins already buckled, which is pathetic in my opinion. I'm not sure who she wins over up in Maine when she just rolls over and says, I'm afraid of the mob. I'll do whatever you want. Or Murkowski. She's despicable.
Murkowski shouldn't even be a senator. She lost the Republican primary. You should research how the hell that corrupt loser became a United States senator, because she didn't vote for Kavanaugh either. She's a real snake. I hate her.
She is the worst. And we're done with her, which is good.
And she has no reason, because she's from Alaska. That's a solid red state.
I know. I don't get it. I don't get what you accomplish by saying, I'm going to go with the Democrats. You think they're going to reward you somehow? I mean, you think that you're going to be able to hang out with Andrea Mitchell?
Well, they want to have high tea with Chris Coons. That's what they're going to get.
All right. Well, you know what? They still have a chance. Their guy is still leading in the polls. Not that the national polls matter, but their guy Biden. And you know why? I think he's got a chance, because I didn't realize this, Turtleboy. I did not know. I knew, the COVID, the China virus was a problem. I mean, we've lost, I think, about 10,000 people to the virus in this country now. 200,000 have died with the virus. I believe about 10,000 have died from the virus. Big difference, but you won't hear that in the media. I didn't know it was this big a deal. According to Joe Biden, more than half the country has succumbed to the virus.
Quite a lot of people.
Yes.
And perhaps, most cruelly of all, if Donald Trump has his way, the complications from COVID-19, which are well beyond what they should be. It's estimated that 200 million people have died, probably by the time I finish this talk.
That's their candidate. That's why you saw that screaming lady in the car. That's why they're out there. They're losing their minds, because that's their hope right there. All their hopes and dreams are invested in a man who cannot even read coherently anymore. That's all on a teleprompter right in front of him. I'm pretty sure his handlers, his aides, didn't write 200 million. They wrote 200,000, and he reads it and says 200 million. That's all. And he wouldn't take a single question. Again, he won't answer a question. Here's where you got.
He seemed sick yesterday when he came out. It was like, oh my Jesus!
Even his commercials, he sounds weak, and they're all recorded.
Where's he been all weekend? He was like, this is a big weekend. Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. You should be out fundraising, like getting the troops rallied, and you're nowhere to be found.
Somebody pointed this out. There was a big rally outside the Supreme Court for liberals on Saturday night. Correct? Yeah, Saturday night.
No COVID.
The virus doesn't affect people when they're. The woke mob is not affected by the virus, but Liz Warren decided to leave her, penthouse suite in DC in Georgetown and go down and, talk to the mobs, and they loved it. It was huge. All Biden had to do was get in a car, get in a Suburban, sit in the back and take a nap, have someone drive him to DC, stand in front of that mob, and he would have won the day. Stand in front of that mob and say, we have to honor Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Instead, he was home in bed or whatever. But there's never been a day where you got to see the contrast of these two candidates like Saturday. On Saturday morning at 8:30, the Biden campaign announced there was a lid for the day. That means no news. He's not making any appearances. 8:30 a.m., the day after Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies. Their candidate was incapable. I don't think he just decided to take a day off. There was a problem. There had to be an issue. He decides to take the day off and not appear anywhere and not speak on Saturday. You know what happened at 11:30 that night? That'd be 15 hours later. Donald Trump was calling Colby Covington, the MMA fighter, the big MAGA fighter, who is a big Trump guy. He wears the MAGA hat. He won his fight, and then he went on a speech about how great America is. I know that's kind of controversial this day and age about how he doesn't hate America. Trump calls him in the middle of the press conference. Biden's been in bed for like 6 hours already, and Trump, who's been working all day, campaigning, speaking, making appearances, is on the phone with this MMA guy at almost midnight.
So no one's ever finished him like that and beat him that dramatically. So this is the best I've ever looked. And the POTUS is calling me, Mr. President.
You gonna put that on speaker for us or what?
Mr. President.
We're gonna try and get Donald on speakerphone. Let's see.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is Colby Covington. Thank you so much.
You might want to just give him a warning. He is on speakerphone though. This is a first.
Thank you so much.
You are a great fighter, man. I'll tell you. You make it so easy. I don't know how to do that. Congratulations. I wanted to watch that fight tonight. I wanted to watch it. You were great.
That is so awesome.
And he beat a guy who was a big Black Lives Matter guy, right? The guy he beat was not a MAGA guy.
Talk about a sport that gets it. They were the first to defy the lockdown. They kept going anyway. They're run by Dana White, a conservative who just knows how to make money. What a sport. I don't even like the sport.
And God knows there's a lot of contact involved. It is defiant. They are defiant. Dana White's defiant. He was going to go to an island if they wouldn't let him have fights and, go to his own island and have fights and put them on pay-per-view or whatever. I didn't watch it either, but he's my new favorite MMA guy, Colby Covington, unabashed MAGA supporter. But that's the difference. Biden can't even stay up that late. The idea, even I don't care. I mean, I understand people hate Trump, and I understand, liberals are going to liberal. But is there one liberal who looks at Biden and says, yeah, he's our guy, that he's, I believe in him? Is there one?
No. I mean, well, they're just like, he's the vehicle. He's the Trojan Biden. He's going to get the Trojan, like, guy's just lost his mind, and they're all going to come in there. AOC is going to jump out as soon as he jumps in. They all know that. That's the
if Liz Warren had won, or if you name it, Klobuchar or Mayor Pete, they would be screaming today all day, all weekend. They would have been screaming about, this isn't fair. The Republicans are hypocrites, and we need to wait on this. And they would just make it the most divisive issue, the most emotional issue. Biden doesn't. He comes out and can't even read a teleprompter. It is such a mistake. Both candidates, Biden and Kamala, are they have no appeal at all. I understand they hate Trump. I don't think there's any love for their guy, and that's a problem, because this is going to be such an emotional 43 days, such a divisive, crazy, polarizing month and a half.
Yeah. Speaking of polarizing, Jerry, I don't know if you heard the news, but tomorrow I'll be leading a peaceful protest in Boston at Roxbury at 1:00. If anybody would like to join us, we'll be protesting for conservative Black Lives Matter. That is the protest that we're having.
Conservative Black Lives Matter. I've never heard of that.
That's our new organization. Conservative
like
Black Lives Matter.
Is that
Conservative Black Lives Matter. Because people like our friend Rayla Campbell are discriminated against every single day for having the audacity to think independently. So we will be down there. Monica Cannon-Grant is actually holding a protest against the Boston police and me, because I obtained a publicly available police report that she made against me that called me a white supremacist, and she'll be protesting there. So we will be holding our own counter peaceful protest at Boston Police Headquarters at 1 p.m.
Boston Police Headquarters, 1 p.m. in Roxbury.
That's correct.
And you expecting a big crowd? Is it going to get violent?
No, we shall, Jerry. We don't believe in that kind of thing. We follow Martin Luther King and Gandhi and John Lewis. Those are our heroes.
Right.
So we will be following their lead and just praying for them and hoping that they can stop being racist.
So I don't know how the virus works on conservative Black Lives Matter. That's a tough question. I mean, we could check with an epidemiologist. I know it doesn't affect.
And didn't go well for Herman Cain. Okay, so I guess not.
So will you be socially distancing? Will you be wearing your mask?
I will not be doing that. No.
I have a Blue Lives Matter mask, by the way. So I'm ready for anything. But
hey, can I get Turtleboy's take on one headline that I saw over the weekend that fired me up, and I just want to get his take because he loves this before he has to go entertain his crotch fruit for the entire day.
Yes, I do.
It's a group of Spotify staffers are now reportedly pushing to introduce direct editing oversight over the Joe Rogan Experience before the episodes go live. That includes content flags, trigger warnings, references to fact check information, or simply refusing to publish an episode at all. Spotify, about a month into the deal, is already having an internal backlash over his content.
What the hell is Rogan thinking?
Insane.
Well, don't you think his contract has some language where they can't do that? But just saying it, just thinking it, that we need to control the content of the Joe Rogan Experience.
Didn't he go to Spotify to avoid this?
Yes. This actually probably turns into a legal issue, and he ends up winning again. He'll probably get some payout to leave and then just own his content all over again. It's amazing how this.
And by the way, I listen to him occasionally, and sometimes it's good, sometimes not. He's not very political. I mean, what do they think of there's lots of political podcasts, very popular ones. He's not one of them. He does interviews. He's a libertarian, sort of. He liked Bernie Sanders.
He just finds a way to agree with whoever he has on. That's all he wants. He
doesn't like Biden, which is, but he's just being honest. So they would like to flag the content or remove the content if he's not quite politically correct enough for them. That's amazing.
By the way, the other thing is like he's not a journalist. He's a podcast host. He's a commentator. He's an opinion guy.
He's a comedian. He's a stand-up comic.
He didn't. I mean, yes, this weekend. I don't know if you saw that he apologized for what was it that he said people got arrested for.
He said some of the arsonists were liberal activists, and it was true. 100%. One of them was a committed, Antifa guy who set fires. They arrested him, bailed him out. He went back and set more fires. He was right.
But he apologizes for what he deemed to be a mistake, whether you think so or not. And he still gets just fucking ripped to shreds. And it's like, he doesn't have to apologize to you. He's a commentator. He's not reporting for CNN News when he does his podcast. He's going to screw up. We all screw up in those moments.
I hope he does two middle fingers. I hope he gives him 2 middle fingers and says, screw you. I have a contract. You're not going to touch my content. Just give me the $20 million and leave me alone.
Yep. That's probably what's going to happen.
I mean, he has to, right? He can't.
Of course he's going to. His brand would be ruined if he did anything but that.
He's one who can do that. He's not at the mercy of big tech at this point, although you never know. They're out of control. Right, Turtleboy?
Yep. You're talking to the guy who invented tech censorship.
Well, what did the Turtleboy Quotes Twitter account got suspended for?
Yes,
what?
For quoting me. So the Turtleboy Quotes accounts just exist to quote me during shows like this, and they quoted me, and they got suspended for 7 days because I called her a ratchet ass, I believe.
Called who ratchet ass?
Not a ratchet ass hoe, I believe was the word. I called her that. And he quoted me. Maybe he should pick and choose what he quotes better. I don't know. I don't even remember saying that, to be perfectly honest.
The account was suspended for a week?
Yes. Well, it's been suspended for 24 hours before. So now they're up to 7. I think that's the last straw. So
right. Well,
they got one more.
Yeah, they're going to keep coming, man. They're going to keep coming. And if Biden wins, it's going to get worse. It's going to get scary. It already is scary, but it's going to get crazier. Can't wait. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the next 43 days. We'll see what happens when he names. I think in the next 2 days, Trump's going to have a name. And
he'll have it by Tuesday. He has to.
By Tuesday,
yeah, do it.
And then you know what? That this poor woman doesn't know what she's in for. Whether it's whoever it is, Amy Coney Bryant does not know. By Tuesday, they'll be outside her house with like megaphones and trumpets and drums and they will harass her. She's got 7 kids, including 2 that she adopted from Haiti. Those children don't know what they're in for. Her husband doesn't know what he's in for. They are going to attack like we've never seen them attack before, which is why I'm glad. It's one of those days I'm glad Donald J. Trump is in the White House and not Willard Mitt Romney or some other squish. Trump is ready for this fight. It's going to be great. Cannot wait. Yeah. All right, Turtleboy. You can follow him on Twitter, and you read his blogs at tbdailynews.com. You got anything good up there? You mentioned something earlier.
Oh, we'll have some good content. I got a lot in the inbox this morning, but tomorrow is a big day.
Tomorrow's a big day. 1 p.m. at the police headquarters in Roxbury. You can support.
I'll be live streaming it. Live streaming it on the YouTube
Conservative, Black Lives Matter, and Free Speech, and Turtleboy. You can see him there. You can meet him. You can get a selfie with him. And,
absolutely. No masks.
Just no masks and no social distancing. You can kill him. Just breathe on him. All right. Thanks, Aiden. And thanks to DCU. And thanks to Shea Concrete and Allied Paving. Anything else?
No, that's it. New week. So that means more reviews. We need more reviews. Go to Apple Podcasts. Rate, review, subscribe.
Rate, review, subscribe. Thanks to everybody who's done that already. We got lots of reviews, lots of ratings. But thanks for listening. Thanks for telling your friends. We need all the help we can get. I'm Jerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Podcast, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.